Hello, my friends, and welcome to Quartet. I'm John Petersen from the Arlington Institute, and it's really great to have you with us. We get together like this bi-weekly. Every couple of weeks, we come together to talk about the extraordinary kind of change that's happening on this planet. The amazing kind of transition that we're all in the middle of that is redefining every aspect of our lives and increasing rapidly, accelerating here in the by week almost, if not month, certainly monthly. And I'm joined, as I am every time, by my friends Penny Kelly and Gregg Braden and Kingsley. Hi, Penny. Hi.
Hello. It's good to be here.
Hi, Gregg.
Hello, everyone. I am excited to be with you and for this program today.
Yep, and Kingsley. All right.
Well, greetings from the U of K. Pleasure to be back.
Yep. Usually at this point, we've got some questions. We had a wonderful comment this time, though, and it came from Tracy Lee. And Tracy Lee has said some very nice things about all of us, and I'm very appreciative of what we do here on Quartet, but also suggested that we might talk about the whole idea of community and how we all can get together and bring together and facilitate the emergence of community, because there's no way to get through this whole thing by yourself. And so that's what we're going to talk about next week or next time, Tracy. And so you can start getting your questions together if you want to between now and then, and put them in the question area on the website, and we'll be happy to take a look at them. So our topic today has to do with having to do with kind of trust and belief. And I wanted to start by telling you a story. More than 20 years ago, I was a member of the Science Advisory Board for an organization called the National Institute of Discovery Science. NIDS is what we called it. And it was funded by a great guy, Bob Bigelow, who was a very wealthy real estate and hotelier in Las Vegas. And Bob was very interested in two subjects. One of them was anomalous aerial phenomenology, right? UFOs. And the other one was life after death. Now, the thing that toward the end of that whole series, that, by the way, turned into, there's a television series called Skinwalker Ranch. That now is rather famous in some areas. Skinwalker Ranch was purchased by Bob Bigelow. We were all involved during this period. We were all involved in designing the electronics and the sensor systems and the other kind of stuff for that. But in any case, toward the end of this period, we had a guy come in and talk to us who purported to be out of the Department of Defense's disinformation program. And it was a very interesting discussion where he couldn't tell us a lot of things. The whole issue related to disinformation, of course, is that if you begin to have any question at all about the reality or the narrative that they're pitching, they've lost, because the whole purpose of disinformation is to build this seamless kind of context that you believe is real and that kind of contributes to the objectives and the ends that they're interested in, and you do it without ever thinking that it may be something other than what it is. So at the end of this guy, and so the discussion was all about things about, how do you know what's real and how do you don't know what's real? Because I mean, they were in the business of manipulating reality, right, in the most sophisticated ways that they could. And we got to the end, and we had a break, and I went up to him and I said, so what do you think is what I read, or what could I plug into or something that would best indicate how reality really works? Well, he thought for a minute. He said, well, read Robert Anton Wilson. Well, Robert Anton Wilson was an extraordinary thinker and writer. And, for instance, he and one of his buddies at the time, when he was in his 20s, they literally designed a religion. They designed their own religion with all of the trappings and the theology and all of the other kind of stuff. And we're going to talk about that just a minute here. But I mean, that's the kind of the quality of the extraordinary kind of thinking that this guy did. Now, why would I be suggested and pointed toward Robert Anton Wilson? Well, because one of his books talks about a period of time. I think it was 15 years, maybe 3 sections of 5 years each, where he systematically, over each one of these periods of time, in the most sophisticated effort to try to understand how reality really works, went off for 3 years and dedicated it to go into the occult and run as far as he could in terms of the occult and find out what that was and what that said about reality. And then the next 5 years or so, he went off into drugs, right? And tried every kind of drug and every kind of thing, wandering wherever he could. And the third one may have been kind of new agey spiritual things. I can't remember what it was offhand, but it was, in any case, he just ran all 3 of these things way to the end, and to try to find out better than anyone else how this whole reality worked. The bottom line is fascinating and profound. He says reality is anything you want it to be, literally. That literally we generate the reality, and it is what we think it will be or want it to be. And that's what he discovered from all of this. And so his books and his writings are very interesting and very profound. But anyway, so he did this religion. And this religion had the kind of the main tenet of this religion was a phrase that I've used in speeches forever. And it says that convictions cause convicts. What you believe imprisons you. Now, that is an extraordinary idea as far as I'm concerned. Because what it essentially said, and remember the context that he's doing and thinking about these things about how reality works and where this all goes, and that when he comes to the end, it says anything, you can get anything that you want, but it's constrained by what you believe, that your convictions are kind of make you a prisoner. You're a prisoner of your ideas, of your beliefs in particular. Not so much your ideas, but your beliefs. What do you believe is true? Now, I have found that to be extraordinarily interesting and kind of valuable as I've tried to navigate through all of this change that's going on. We're into a period of time, one needs not say, repeat, is of amazing kind of change, to where the things that we have thought were real, that we have believed about how this reality works and who we are and how the world works and so on, are all up for grabs and are going to change dramatically, almost certainly in the coming years, if not months in some cases. And that one's ability, all of our ability to effectively negotiate, surf, navigate our way through this amazing kind of change with all of the kind of the rapids and the obstructions and such that are in there, are completely kind of shaped by our ability to be able to see things in a new and broader way and not be constrained and prisoners of the ideas that we brought with us from another reality that was in the past, from where we've been in the past.
You're creating, okay, you have this consciousness. I'm going to use a simplified example. You have 2 frequencies that are interacting. They're counter-rotating frequencies. Okay, it's how things get created. they interact in such a way that they produce a secondary set of frequencies. So now you have this binaural frequency. That frequency then begins to interact with the original two, and they produce another tertiary, third level. And then those interact and they produce more and more. So what we have is a system of frequency generation that creates, because at certain thresholds, we'll call it, certain thresholds of creation of this gobbledygook of energies, that may gel into something that is conscious and aware, or is material. All matter is conscious, actually, but to different degrees, different kinds of consciousness. And so what you have is the result of something that you have created without seeing the process and how you got there. And when you unwind that backwards, it unwinds in an orderly fashion, mathematical, and you go right back to the source. So you end up being the source of whatever it is you have created, and that stays with you forever. And that's, those three principles are just three little aspects of science that indicate that, yeah, what you believe, what you hold up here, what you intend from the heart, and the actions, the behaviors, you're going to make something happen. And that's your belief system. The difficulty, you want to get past your belief system, now you're having to deal with your entire chemistry. And that is painful. When you decide I'm going to have a different response, and you are trying to generate that positive response, and you've already got another kind of response going, those chemicals clash. And it's difficult, it's painful, it's, and so we very quickly say, well, I can't deal with that. And we really can. You can train yourself to do almost anything. The whole super soldier thing, it's all done with consciousness, all of it. What you believe is the basis of the chemistry you produce, and then that becomes what you're capable of doing physically.
Another thing I want to say is that we tend to have this belief that whatever we think and believe is a private matter. We created it. We created an internal belief, But actually, of course, most of the time, these beliefs are being created from external stimuli. And we don't like to admit that we've been coerced or very subtly maneuvered into accepting and then creating these belief systems. And that's how it works. That's how propaganda works and advertising works. They send a package to you, and they create an environment where you very willingly accept that package. And then what you do, you label it as your own. That's my belief, that's my ideology. And you tell your friends, I came to that belief or ideology through my own path. But actually, it's been implanted. A lot of the time it's been implanted. That's how social conditioning works. And then what happens is that we then externalize these beliefs onto concept systems, ideologies external to us. And what we're doing then is actually we're giving away our authority. And that's a very important point, is that when we attach to an outside concept or belief or ideology, we are giving away our authority with it, or at least sharing it. So that concentration of inner authority gets diluted because we're projecting it and attaching it to something outside of us. And another important point is society works by agreement. That's how, we cannot have a society if everyone is squabbling over a different belief set. So society attempts to create by various means, we've talked about them before, through propaganda and programming, mass programming, to create a consensus. Because then you have a coherent society which is more socially manageable. So from an external point of view, if those who are or believe themselves to be governing society and governing the people, if they want to get to A to B and they have an agenda to get to B, the easiest way for them to do it is to then socially, artificially create a consensus belief that then pulls people into it. So you willingly go in that direction, believing it's your choice to go in that direction.
To some extent, we are all prisoners of what we claim to be true in our lives. And John, this goes right to the heart of what began this particular quartet, because that principle is what is being embodied and implemented on a level I've never seen before by those who are moving global society, engineering society in a particular direction, recognizing that it is more effective to have society make the choices that support the agenda rather than trying to force the agenda. And the way that is accomplished is by creating a narrative and sharing misinformation and disinformation that people begin to believe as truth. And just the last thing I want to say, Penny, what you were saying about, you said so much of what I wanted to say about the science. But the science, 1991, the discoveries, to me, made the bridge that had been missing in our relationship to the physical world, showing that human DNA in a vacuum actually influences the photons of physical matter and the way they are arranged in time and space. What it means is we are that DNA, those photons are the world around us. And for the first time, a scientific experiment that began in Russia, and the Russian scientists then came to the US and they completed those experiments here in the US and published them, and they gave me permission to write about them. For the first time, showed that our emotions influence the DNA in our bodies, and that DNA has a direct physical influence on the stuff that our world is made of. We need to plant new ideas of what is possible in our beliefs, so that we can now let go of those old ideas and shift and cling to the new ideas and allow those ideas to come to fruition in the field. That's why we've got cryptocurrency, alternative banking systems that are evolving, and that's why we've got energy systems that are not based on fossil fuels or even the sun. These are the ideas that are out there that are being suppressed because we've all heard this before, knowledge is power. And the more that we know about what's possible, the more powerful we become.
So yes, I would say that to assist this this process of unclinging from our beliefs, we have to realize that we are not our beliefs. You know, they are not part of your essential self. So, I mean, if, for example, if we put our hand into the fire and we burn our hand, we don't say, "I believe that fire was hot." You know it's hot. You see, so the difference between something which is primary, something which is more essential and closer to the truth, and then something which is secondary. And beliefs are something which we acquire. We relate to them and you say, yes, I'll bring that on board. It's an attachment.
The possibility that I wanted to add to in the letting go, besides having to know it's possible, having to have courage and having to have strength, is that there's also this possibility of stepping outside yourself once you're full and seeing everything differently. It's kind of like a moment of super clarity. It changes everything about you. And,
Right.
and that is another pathway. And once you get past that, we say you are past the great Satan, which is the term used to refer to all of the programming.
To say that, I think we are being swamped by beliefs at the moment because there's so much information going out there and so much, external information trying to vie for people to accept a certain beliefs. It's getting heavy, it's getting so dense. And, we've talked about people downsizing their houses. We need to downsize our belief package. We need to get rid of a few. Every stage of the journey of life, you need something new to enable you to facilitate that part of the journey. And if the belief sets don't work, you need to put them aside. It's not a judgment against yourself. And we should say to people, it's okay to minimize your beliefs. It's not don't take it personally, take it as part of the change.
So thank you all very much. And to those of you who are our viewers, we thank you for being with us. This comes to you from the Arlington Institute. We're located here in a little resort town of Berkeley Springs, West Virginia, just down the road from Washington and Baltimore. And Quartet is only one of a whole host of things that we do here. And we'd love to have you take a look at arlingtoninstitute.org, and you can find out more about what we do. One of the things we have is our program that I mentioned called Transition Talks. Every month we bring a marvelous, interesting speaker to come in and talk that entertains a local crowd, but also we live stream it out all around the world. And David Martin will be with us on the 23rd of July, which promises to be very fascinating. Dave Martin is one of the quickest and smartest guys around today. Some guy named Gregg Braden is going to be with us in September. And as he comes happily comes back every year, as does Penny Kelly. And then we've got a number of other very interesting people lined up. And so you can find all that information at transitiontalks.org. Thanks for being with us at Quartet, and we'll see you in 2 weeks.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, John.